All right, guys, well, I'm back today with something that the industry has needed to produce for a very long time and that the public, or at least I, have been screaming for. A roller lock 9mm that comes in right at $1,000 with a ton of nice specs and features all included. And the brand new MAC-5 from Military Armament Corporation checks all of those boxes, coming in right at $1,000 for the complete kit you see here. I want to give an absolute huge shout out to Battlehawk Armory for sending this out to the channel. The first thing I did when I discovered there was going to be a $1,000 roller lock was search online to try to find one of the best places to get it. And I always go to Battlehawk, and I found it there. So a huge shout out to them. Sent out the request for this as a test and evaluation gun, and these guys were nice enough to send it out, and I don't have to send it back, so we can get a very high round count on this. I've been putting way too many rounds through it already for this initial overview because I really wanted to prove this out since it was a new platform to the market and since it comes in at right about $1,000. Now, Battlehawk Armory is supporting the channel for a long time now, and more information about these guys can be found on the campsite page, and that campsite page will be in the description below. Now, the MAC-5 is interesting because it comes in this complete setup with a tri-lug and 1/2x28 threaded barrel, 2 high-quality magazines, cleaning kit, sling, and on top of that, a tri-lug compatible flash hider, which alone is a great value, especially when you see the prices of some tri-lug accessories, and obviously you get the case and the pistol itself. Initial impressions when I first pulled the pistol out of the box is, yeah, this is nice, and if it runs, it's going to be great. And that's where I want to start with this review process. We are going to get into the weeds of the pistol itself, parts interchangeability, and different feature set on this particular one versus others on the market. But if it's not reliable, then there's no point in watching this whole video, and honestly, it is. It has been running great out of the box, and this is where I want to give a huge shout out to AAC for sponsoring the ammo to help make this video. It's really nice because AAC offers 115, 124, and 147 grain ammo, and that allowed us to put a wide variety of ammo through this platform, and it had absolutely no issues, not a single function, feed, or cycling issue with any of the 115, 124, or 147 grain ammo. We ran this with and without a can, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a later part of this review. And if you want more information about the AAC ammo used and different things, calibers and different things about AAC, you can head over to the campsite page in the description below as well. But let's continue with reliability. One of the first things I check when I grab an MP5 style roller lock out of the box is the fit of the mags and the quality of the mags that are going to be included, because a lot of times the linchpin of a system is going to be the mag, and these worked out great. They're high quality metal mags, no issues when it comes to inserting the mags in the mag well. They're tight but not overly tight. They fit in on an open bolt and a closed bolt, which can be some issues with brand new MP5s. You have to work them in, but both mags worked great. So no issues with the magazine, and it's really nice that they included 2 actual mags in the package rather than 1. Companies need to be doing more of this. And again, when you're looking at other MP5s on the market, when you go with HK, you're looking at about a $3,000 gun. When you go with some of the other companies that are making HK very similar to this, you're looking at an MSRP of right around $1,500 to $1,700, maybe even more. So to have this whole package again for $1,000 is a great value, and they're not skimping on the magazines. The sling is really nice, woven fairly good. Personally, for me, I don't really use a sling when shooting this, but that is a shooting style for the MP5 style pistols, to clip it onto the sling swivel in the back and do the push-pull method and fire your rounds. Again, this does come with the tri-lug compatible flash hider, which is pretty darn cool. And I love the fact that they went with a tri-lug on the barrel as well as 1/2x28 threads, which seems to be the industry standard now for MP5 style roller locks. And we will start from the front and work our way to the back on the feature set. Now, right off the bat, the 1/2x28 threads are going to be great for direct thread cans. And I did not run any direct thread cans because you're buying an MP5 for the tri-lug, and I just picked up a dead air Wolfman, and we got the tri-lug adapter. One thing to note, the tri-lug adapter was tight on the dead air Wolfman, but it did fit on and come off, but you had to persuade it. After running it the first time, it went on and off a little bit easier, and I believe that could be just because of the machining on the tri-lug smoothed out after running just a touch. Now, we did not have any issues or tightness with the tri-lug adapter for the hub-compatible YHM45 cans. That went on, locked up smooth. But when you start talking about tri-lug, there always is going to be slight fit differences on different tri-lug accessories, but every single tri-lug accessory fit on this platform. I have other MP5 roller locks in my system that aren't compatible with every tri-lug accessory that I have, which is kind of odd, but this one is. So a little tighter on some, a little looser on some. Everybody's machining their tri-lugs. It seems like just a touch different, but this one worked great with everything. So again, I've tried the tri-lug cans, or the adapters for the YHM45 as well as the Wolfman, so no issues there, and I love the fact that they include both. Now, moving up to the Handguard, and we will kind of talk about the Handguard as well as the brace compatibility. This is going to be compatible with all of your MP5 full-size furniture, and that's one thing that the MAC-5 has done. They've really completely embodied that MP5 platform, and they are running off of original HK specifications, so it's going to run those same components. So if you wanted to swap out your standard MP5 magazines or your standard MP5 different components, you're going to be able to do that. And this is where I'll start getting into the weeds. One of the things that you may change out or adjust over time is the locking piece inside the bolt. This appears inside this to have a 100-degree locking piece, although it is not marked. You can change out your locking piece if you're running with or without a can. There's no indication that you have to do that on this particular setup in the instruction manual. So I am running it with the original locking piece for the entirety of this review. You can switch to a 90 or 80 degree locking piece if you're primarily going to be running with a can, because that really decreases the back pressure to the system and prevents roller bulge in your receiver. So if that's something to consider, or it is something to consider, and I swapped out locking pieces with a few different ones that I had on hand, and they were compatible with every single locking piece, so you're not going to have issues there. So the bolt compatibility is going to be standard with an MP5, and that's great news, especially for guys who are going to be running with a can. Moving along to the charging handle itself, it operates just like a standard HK charging handle. Nice texturing right here. The handguard is fairly decent for what you get. Nothing to write home about, again, but it's swappable with this simple press pin right here. So just again, a nice touch on that, and we may be swapping that out in the future. One thing to note is the edges on this guy around this channel. Pretty nice, little sharp, no issues there. The welds on the top of this gun appear to be done incredibly nice. No issues with the welding. The gun seems put together true. No weird bends or tweaks or issues with the fit and finish. And the finish seems to be holding up fairly well. Moving on to the upper receiver itself, the main thing we are looking at here is the welds. Do we see any bad or spotty welds? Do we see any issues there? And I haven't seen any issues. I mean, this seems to be on par when it comes to the build quality as some of the other Turkish imported MP5 style guns that I've seen, and even some of the US guns, they seem to be on par with that, so no issues there. This is compatible with HK claw mounts, which I probably will be getting, and you do have some reduced feature sets on this than you would find in maybe something like a PTR. Some of those guys have welded rails on the top, and some of them don't. A lot of the ones brought in by Zenith or the MKE factory and other companies do not have those rails on the top, and this one doesn't either. Again, not a deal breaker. This is true to the original HK. This is how it will come. So grabbing one of those claw mounts is nice, and I kind of like this more traditional look. Something to note, this is a 2-pin design lower on the bottom, whereas my PTR is a 1-pin design lower. You don't need to know too much about that other than you take 2 pins here to disassemble it. Compatibility on the rear end is going to be compatible with any of the aftermarket full-size MP5 style braces or stocks if you decide to SBR this. I tested the SB Tactical PDW brace and it fits on with no issues whatsoever, so compatibility is going to be great. Definitely a solid lockup on that SB Tactical brace system. You remove the pin, you pop it on, it's been working great, no issues there, so a great fit. Moving along to the lower itself, I do want to take a look at the trigger and some of the controls. The trigger on this guy is nothing to write home about. The MP5 has never been that great with the trigger, but it's spongy, and you get a sort of a wall and a break. The reset on this guy is very forceful. It's a good, solid reset, sponginess, and then a break. Again, not the greatest MP5 trigger I've ever felt, and when comparing it with something like the $3,000 HK or even maybe the 17 or 1800 PTR, the PTR has the trigger slightly beat, but it's a great trigger. It works, it's reliable, it's functional, it's adequate, and that's what I want. I want a gun that I can pick up as a package and not completely leverage my bank account and have everything work, and this trigger does that. And that's the same for the safety. A little bit stiff. The safety texture itself is a little bit smooth. I've picked up some other HK copies that have a touch more texture, but this one works. Great shelf, no issues, no complaints. Again, I'm kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, but I do want to dig in because I want this to be a thorough and honest evaluation of this brand new roller lock, especially at the price point. In a nutshell, this gives you everything you need. I love the fact that it's cross-compatible with a ton of other components, including internal bolt components, handguards, and braces to allow you to set this up exactly as you want. I also love the fact that this thing runs like a champ with and without a can and ejects those shell casings into the stratosphere. I don't worry about stovepipes or any issues with that, and it's been running every single type of ammo I put through it. I'm going to continue to run ammo and actually have this on slated for range time this weekend and the next weekend, just so we can hit that 1,000, 2,000 round count pretty quick. I've already run a ton of ammo through this, fallen in love with this platform, and can personally highly recommend this setup, especially keeping in mind the price point. Again, a huge shout out to Battlehawk Armory for sending this out to the channel. These guys have been killing it lately when it comes to support of new platforms that I can't get anywhere else, and they're always killing it when it comes to pricing. Again, more information about them on the campsite page. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you thinking about picking one of these up, or do you guys even consider roller locks to add to your arsenal in 2024? I want to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.